Thanks everyone who joined on time. So yeah, we're gonna start now.
Yes.
So today we're gonna speak about let this load. We're gonna speak about ungated product experiences and the future of SaaS sales. So a little bit about us. My name is Bertrams. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Zumvie, and basically we're a small team of marketers and software engineers. Back in 2021, we built a product, a note-keeping tool for engineering managers. And as we launched it, we very quickly learned the following. Well, number one, the market is full of tools right now. This is driven by a wave of no-code tools, VC funding, the barriers to starting being so low, especially in SaaS. There's just so many tools out there. We also very quickly learned that even niching down does not really help you to gain an edge in the market. For one thing, companies now tend to buy a suite of tools where the pricing makes sense. They pay one price and they get a bunch of tools. HubSpot is a great example. Even though those tools are not that great individually, for the pricing, they make sense for the company. So even like niching down and building a really great product for a specific niche, in our case, we were doing one-on-one meetings for software engineering managers. Even that did not help to really gain any traction in the market. So it's a big shift in the market right now as well. And lastly, we learned that the key is really great go-to-market and very efficient go-to-market. And that's the real way that you get an edge in the modern SaaS sales, where there are so many different tools out there. And we kind of concluded that really the future of many SaaS categories is just like cutthroat competition. There's so many tools out there. You're basically giving away your margins. You have like huge freemium cycle where people use it for free for even years sometimes. And this was the case in our industry before as well. There were some tools that people used for free for years, and then they would somehow turn those into revenue. So I think that's the future for many SaaS categories in the coming years. I would like to hear from you. Can you resonate with any of these? Do you agree with them, and how you experienced it? So type 1 in the chat, and you can choose multiple. If you kind of also noticing there are so many tools out there, if you agree with the niching down, if you have seen that as well, and that's for 2. And number 3, if you agree with the go-to-market, and number 4, if you agree with the last sentiment there. I'm going to give it like half a minute for people to give some thoughts. Okay, so we're seeing 1 and 4 quite a bit. All right, let's move on. Thanks for those who gave your number. It's interesting to see how others are seeing this as well. Also, one fun finding that we discovered when we launched that app, in our database, around 5% of trials had like a dummy email. So like randomletters@gmail.com. I'm curious if anyone has noticed something similar, or if you check after this call, please get in touch with me. I would like to even collect this data from you. It's very interesting for me to see this. So what do the industry analysts and experts say? And by analysts, I mean Forrester and Gather and all these people, that basically do software industry analysis for a living. What do they say? Well, for years, everyone has been saying that the leverage is with the buyer. And a great example here is the 90s, where you basically had one software as a service in each category. So as a business owner, you knew that software can help you increase efficiency, and you only had one potential software you could buy. So whatever they ask you to do, you will do. Same on pricing. Skip forward 25 years, and we're now at least 25 softwares per each category. So the leverage really is with the buyer. If they want to see the pricing before they will engage with you, if you don't give that to them, well, skip on to the next one, right? They're not gonna waste their time. They really want to just get the information they need and make their own decisions at their own time. And only around 5% of companies are in market in any given quarter for your product. So what this means is that branding and creating a good experience is more important than ever, so that people remember you at the point when they are ready to buy your software, and also not losing those leads once they are ready to buy and speak with you is very important. That there are specific parts of the funnel that will become more and more important in the coming years as companies really make a decision to buy something, and then they really are willing to buy it and speak with companies. So if you lose them at that point, the company might as well close down, because that's going to be a very crucial part in the funnel. And lastly, when buyers buy, they are spending only around 17% of their time speaking to vendors. Most of the time goes into internally understanding the different requirements, understanding what people are already using, and understanding the different players in the market, reading their reviews, reading their websites, and really just 1/5 of that time is spent with actually speaking to vendors. So who has won in the past years? Who have been the big winners in the past years in this kind of new software world? Obviously, product-led growth companies have seen a huge success rate, and they have grown a lot. It's very aligned with the way that buyers buy. So they usually ask around, well, what are people already using? And it turns out that 3 people out of 50 people are already using a freemium version of something. So that's kind of why these companies have been so successful, and they have been winning a lot. Also, companies selling to mid-market and enterprise with really great sales playbooks. Zumvie comes to mind here. They have all kinds of scoring when people come in and they qualify them and score them. So these kind of companies have been winning in the past years. And it's interesting, when you observe SaaS founders speaking to each other, they will likely start to speak about SDRs, so sales development reps, and all kinds of different ways. These discussions tend to be around these sales playbooks and how to do them efficiently, etc. So who will win in the next years, in the coming years? If anyone has any thoughts you'd like to add, feel free to. If not, I will move into some thoughts of my own.
I like on the previous slide, you have these 2 points, right? 17% of the time only spent on talking to vendors. I can totally relate to that, where most of the research is previously done within the company itself. So by the time they actually reach out to you, they would have done most of the research on you internally. So I can see that happening even with the deals that we receive. When you talk, the second point, when you said 5% of companies are in market in a given quarter, can you give an example, or can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so it just goes on to their roadmap as an important thing at a given quarter. So in the next quarter, we're going to be looking at this and that, and the chances of a company doing something that's within your line of product. So for instance, changing OKR software is 5%. 5% of companies will be looking into an OKR software in the next quarter in your target market.
Okay, and this is true across all SaaS categories.
Yes, and I'm happy to share a link that I got this from after, so we could,
I'm sure, cool, I got that.
Cool. So, the next coming year, so who is going to be winning? I think it's obviously very hard to predict the future, but what we can do is we can look at what's on the horizon.
Yeah.
So the next 12 to 18 months, we have a looming recession. This has been spoken about all across media. If you are a SaaS founder, you might have noticed this from your investors. And what this means is that there's going to be a need for much more efficient marketing funnels, way less buying growth and way more profitability, better CAC, better everything. There's going to be a huge need for better unit economics. So really converting more users at better rates. That's going to be extremely important when companies are cutting their marketing budgets, cutting their spend, and they really have to become profitable to survive the next couple of years. There's definitely going to be less demand from nice-to-have tools that are basically buying their growth in one way or another, and they don't really solve fundamental problems. Way less demand for those tools. Also on the horizon are increased technological advances in personalization, attribution, and tracking technology. And definitely marketers will get very, very good in using these for their conversions and really personalizing those experiences. This is something that's definitely gonna become more and more impactful in the coming years. And lastly, we have seen a huge influx of sales enablement tools because people are really aware that the leverage really is with the buyer. They want to provide them the right contents at the right time. So they have all these tools where they can see the different content salespeople could be sharing and what to do in certain situations. So these tools are coming out now, and I think the companies are going to start using them a lot more in the coming years. Let's quickly look at a great example of the new top of the funnel. I'm going to paste a link in the chat. If everyone could please go to that link and take a look at the number of ways that you can engage with them at the top of the funnel. So the link is in the chat. It's Limble CMMS if you want to Google it. And once you have counted them, type 2 in the chat. I'm going to give it a minute for people to take a look at it. And we're going to go through the ways after in the presentation, and you will be able to see if you got them or not.
Mahavir,
yes, Sundar.
You should take a look at try the new tryout feature. Click on that.
Yes.
You saw that?
Yeah.
All right, we have one person who has them. I'm going to wait for one more before we move on.
Yeah, I mean, should we ping the number of ways or just?
No, just take a note. Just take a note of that site and just try to count. But you can keep the number to yourself. But just try and see all the ways that you could possibly get in touch with them or engage with their product if you wanted to right now. But yes, you have 5.
Yeah, I saw 5 ways of reaching out.
All right, gonna move on. So number 1 is the live chat, the clickable demo. Obviously, almost everyone noticed this, right? There is nothing to not notice. It's very in the face, like the main call to action across their site. So that's one way. Then there is a discovery sales call. So they offer you a chance to also speak with them, and they frame it as assistance, and it's basically a discovery sales call. I'm sure that most people also noticed this. The live chat, they offer you a chance to speak with their agents there and then right away. I'm sure everyone noticed this. And who noticed the phone number? So they let you call them on the phone right away, especially if you're in America, it's likely for you even free to call. Did everyone notice this?
I missed out this one, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did anyone else miss it out?
I think most would have missed.
Cool. Moving on to the 5th one. free trials. Did anyone not notice this?
Yeah, we have a question from Anuj on the previous slide, actually. Why would you allow non-enterprise email IDs?
Well, it's gonna depend a lot. Let me go back to that slide.
Yeah.
So it's going to depend a lot on yeah, there it is. It's going to depend a lot on your market. So if you are a little bit more into like something like Notion or Trello, you would likely allow Gmail emails. If you're doing enterprise sales and there is a whole process people go through, yes, you will likely let people only go in with the corporate emails. But then again, it also adds a little bit of friction, and people don't want to put their corporate email for a reason. So then you're basically saying, no, if you want to speak with me, you have to put in your email. I think it really depends on your target audience, as well as just your own kind of understanding of how people want to engage with you. I think that all plays a part.
Can I ask a question here on this?
Sure.
So just thinking, so if you I mean, it really boils down to whether you're going top down or bottom up. My view is, if you're focusing the examples that you've taken, Notion or Zoom kind of things, if you're really focusing on individual developers or individual people in the company as users, you probably have to allow the personal email IDs also. But if you're okay with your typical go-to-market is top-down, then you can restrict the demos or restrict it to official email IDs. But these days, most softwares are bought in a B2C way. The decision making, I think I saw one point you covered, that it's kind of democratized. That today, if in my company, if I want to try a software, I just don't mind using my personal email ID, try it first, and then propose it to the company. So yeah, we see this. We see some domains which are not work domains, but they do come to us. We have I mean, we have not seen this particular example of email ID, but yeah, there are, although we prevented if you sign up for Humanos, we prevented Gmail, Yahoo thing, but still we do get signups with some domain name, and we don't not implemented validating whether it's a valid domain or not yet. But when we go and check that domain doesn't exist. So people do sign up, figure out a way of signing up any which ways. So that's what we've seen.
Yeah, and it's also the case of many people having a secondary spam email, spam inbox that they sign up to things with, simply because they know they're going to get bombarded. And why is that the case? Well, the cutthroat competition. You get an email, what do? You just bombard them with emails. So if you're signing up to multiple tools, your inbox just flowed. We have an inbox where we sign up to a bunch of tools to see if we can make a demo for them. And it's literally like full of email, like thousands of emails. Literally, some companies spam you every day with stuff, right? So it's like people are aware about this, and they know that they're going to get spam. They might be interested enough to see it, but they just don't want to get that spam. So they will put that dummy email, or they will use their alternative Gmail that's like for spam, basically.
Sure, I get it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So moving back, we left at the last way that you can engage with Limbo, which is they even let you translate their site in your own language. I would like to see if anyone noticed this one when you looked at Limbo.
I did notice, because in my previous startup we had this. We are yet to implement this for Humanos, but in my previous startup, we had a very elaborate translate feature, both outside the platform and inside the platform also. So,
and tell us why. What was the reason for this? So, was it just like a very wide market you were looking at? Or?
Yeah. So because that particular product has was an app in Workplace by Facebook. So, and a lot of Facebook customers were from Latin America and Europe region. So especially Latin American side, they do expect to see in their native. So and there were few customers from Japan who were reaching out. So we had to translate into Japanese language also. So 90% of translation was done by the machine, and then we only in Japanese context we had human translator to do that. But this does help because we even today we do get inquiries from South Korea, especially this one, Colombia, and in Latin America, Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil. These three are very active markets.
Very interesting. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't know that it's so important.
Yeah, it is. I mean, contrary to what people believe, it is important.
So let's take a quick overview of the 6 ways I listed here. So let you play around with a clickable demo. You can jump on a discovery call with them. You can go on a live chat with them. You can ring them on the phone there and then. And this is all within the first view of their website. You can start a trial. You can translate it to your own language. These are just the 6 ways that I spotted. If anyone spotted more than that, please get in touch with me. I would like to add it to this presentation and see if there's anything else. And now let's look at Limble as a company, and of all the changes coming to SaaS in the coming years. Will they win? Will they be one of the biggest companies that's going to come out in the space? Well, I think so. For one, they have absolutely no leakage in their funnel. Like if you are a serious buyer who's seriously interested in a CMMS solution, there is no reason for you not to engage with them. I mean, you can play with their demo, you can read their stuff, you can get in touch with them. Any questions, you can get them answered right away. So absolutely no serious buyer that looks at their website somehow leaks off, like basically zero. There's basically zero leakage of the organically qualified buyers that are interested in buying the solution. They have absolutely great unit economics. When the prospects speak to sales, they likely already have questions. They have experienced the product to some extent, and they kind of understand what it does and what it can do for them. And they convert at much better rates. There is less meetings, and the sales resources go that much further. So their unit economics for those sales departments are just much, much better than if they pushed people to speak with them as the first step in the funnel, and then they had to qualify them over multiple meetings and all that stuff. And lastly, there is no rigid sales process with them. People get the information they want when they come in, and they move at their own pace. It's very aligned with how people buy. So it also builds a lot of trust for them. You know that, okay, I can go on that discovery call with them. It likely won't be too much pressure, and they're going to answer all of my questions. And it's more like they're actually there to help me in my buying journey versus try to push their own process onto me. So as all of these things kind of crystallized to us from our previous product that we launched, we actually decided to do a hard pivot. And as a company, we now help companies do clickable demos. And I'm going to show a quick demonstration of how it works and what we do. So we are on this panel now, and we're going to create a clickable demo together, and it's going to take us less than a minute. To create a clickable demo, all we need is to give the demo a title. We have to specify which starting point of the product will the demo start with, and we then need a webhook. The webhook is an integration, and it should take one developer no more than 1 to 2 days to complete. And then we can create the demos. once we create a demo, it lives in a link like this. You can share this link directly with your prospects via email, LinkedIn messages, etc. Or we can take this link and we can put it in an iframe. So iframe, of course, is a basic HTML snippet. It can go on any content management system, any blogs, any pages, and you can specify the size of it. And then when people arrive at that iframe, they can click on the picture or on the button and the demo loads. Now, this demo is not screenshots and it's not a video. It's the full back-end product, accessible and available for people to play around with, to understand how the product works, what it does, what it can do for them, etc. We can have a pop-up prompting people to move in the next steps of the funnel. We can put in dummy data. We can restrict and hide certain parts of the product. We can put in like guided steps on the side or lead collection forms, all kinds of stuff and all kinds of experiences that we can build out with this. So a little bit more about clickable demos. They won't replace sales calls and trials. What they do is they simply help people get there. They help people kind of commit their time to those next steps in the funnel and build more trust with your SaaS. You can also use them to really help your visitors convert very easily from into reading about a problem on a blog article that they have in actually trying a solution without any friction at all and understanding the value of your product. And lastly, they give you a huge edge in the consideration stage. So think of people looking at 10 different softwares in a given category, and then how many are they starting a trial with? Maybe 2, 3 tops. So the rest of them lost out, and only 5% of companies are in market in a given quarter. So losing out is really, really bad. So how do you get that edge back, and how do you let people consider your product? Well, you simply make a frictionless way for them to check it out, and they will consider it, and you will likely go on the top of that list of companies to engage with and speak with more. So that's me. And now, any questions or any discussions, we can do that.
Cool. Thank you, Bert, and it was lovely to see. Yeah, just first question. I was so intrigued when I saw that Limble CMMS. Is that your client? Did you guys power that?
No, we're not. They had built this in-house. No. But we do have clients now from the CMMS industry, and it seems to be an industry that is changing a lot. And funny enough, the people that we are onboarding from the CMMS industry, they said that the reason why they want to go with us is because they're basically copying Limble. Like Limble is just crushing that category completely, and they're like, okay, what are they doing? We need to do the same. And then they come to us and, hey, you can do a clickable demo. Nice, they have it. We need it too. Cool. That's basically our experience with that category.
Cool. Guys on the call, everybody on the call, please feel free. This is Q&A time. Unlike the last format where it was more interactive, which I had driven because it was the first session, this one, Bert and I thought, anyway, there's so much to discuss. So we used a presentation format this time, just to see how it goes. But please feel free to ask your questions.
Hi, there's Anuj here.
Yeah, Anuj.
Am I audible?
Yes, Anuj.
Yeah. So one question, obviously, the title itself is Ungated Product Experience. So I'll probably just pick up that thread and ask. So would you have some statistics around the conversion of, so you spoke about, a couple of areas, right? You spoke about BDRs, for example, and free trial. So do you have some statistics in terms of what kind of conversion ratios you look at? I'm from a sales background. So typically, when funnels are discussed, conversion ratios are also discussed. So very interesting to understand from you what kind of conversions do you experience across some of the areas. For example, if there are like 1,000 emails, 1,000 logins or registrations you get from across the spectrum, what kind of conversion ratios you see across various stages?
So we don't have too much data from our users yet. The one interesting data point that we do have is around 25% of people landing on a homepage with the clickable demo, and the call to action for it isn't even that noticeable. Play around with it, versus just around 5% signing up without without a clickable demo. So you basically have 5 times more people seeing the product and actually engaging with it. Then we also know from some secondary sources that the conversion rates to actual trials basically double from this. And the key and important thing to remember here is that you can really use these kind of demos as a tool to build out something that's relevant and in line with the experience that your buyers and your users want. So it's really it's going to depend also on your industry and how you build it out. So if you are in sales and you have to speak with a bunch of different people just to get them to discuss the solution internally, perhaps sending them something they can play around with could help if the product is simple enough where they can understand it by themselves. Also for outreach and reaching out to people, I see when I send emails, around 20% of people actually check out my website, but only around like 2-3% respond to me. So if I'm able to give them something they can play around on the website, that just gives me that small little edge at that stage. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, partly. Just one more question there was around when you say demos. Obviously, every SaaS product, especially if they are verticalized, will have their own nuances. For example, when you say that the buyer persona can be very different from one SaaS product to the other. So how do you manage different personas and appealing to a particular persona within the buying audience?
Mm-hmm. So these different personas are finding you in different ways anyway. So some might be searching for a specific problem on Google and landing on a landing page, resources page, blog page. So then you can identify that the intent for this kind of keywords will match with a specific type of persona, and you then can build out a demo that's relevant to that persona. So you can do that, and just like for instance, top HR tools, and then you list out the HR tools and you put yourself as number 1 and you give that clickable demo. You can probably guess what kind of persona will be looking at that article. And then you can also do other stuff that's more technical, where you can ask people as they engage the demo to specify some information about them. And as they do, you can tailor the demo according to their information. So if they say that they are in HR, then you put dummy data for HR automatically. As they start the demo, they have to select. You can do all kinds of stuff like that. You can also use attribution. So you can say, okay, a person is from a specific company, just from third-party tools. And you then put specific personalization or personas based for that specific company. And you can also actually feed that information into the CRM as well, of how much they played around with it and score it as well. So it really comes down to what you want to do, and you can achieve all kinds of stuff, and you can build experiences out that make sense to you and your industry.
Thanks. And sorry, just last one there again. So is there a difference between a demo and a POC in your mind?
It really, really depends. on the industry and on the type of product. If you are looking at something like Notion, then this basically is a POC, right? Because you just want to see how it looks and if it's better than what you do right now. If you're looking at an enterprise solution with all kinds of different people that will use it in the company, well, no, it's simply going to be one small step in a big funnel, and it simply is at the top of it where you get more of those conversations going and you get better conversions. So it's really, really going to depend on the product and the context of your industry and category.
Thanks, Umang.
So I'll, just to take 1 minute and elaborate on the complexity of persona-based, demos. How do we handle that? That's something which we are attempting together with Zumvie, so that everybody benefits. That we will be working with Bert and his team to basically, if you look at our product, Huminos, we are into OKRs. And we typically have personas. There is an individual contributor, there is a team leader or a manager, there is an executive leader, there is HR. So there are different personas who look at this from a usage perspective. So now how do we ungate the experience without even logging in? That's what we are attempting in a pure sense. That's why I love the example in that CMMS tool that was shown in the deck. So if you are an individual contributor and a developer in an organization, you normally there is a pressure on performance. How do you create visibility for yourself while you are doing the work? So there we want to create a use case and show the this is how you can create your OKRs. If you're using Jira, this is how you can link your Jira to your Huminos system, and automatically that tracks your progress. And these are the reports that you can generate. You can invite your manager and share these progress reports with manager, and so that and this is how you record your feedback. So those are some nuances that we want to bring out in an ungated form. That's where we will be working with Zumvie on this one. I hope this explains Noj, to your question.
And I can also share another example of a clickable demo. In the chat, if you go there and then you click away from that kind of almost pop-up, you're instantly in. You can literally play around the product there and then. You can save it, which requires you to sign up. And even if you are not in the market for this tool, I guarantee the next time you need a site map creating tool, you're going to be going with them. You will remember them. So it's really about, it's not like magic. It's only magic if you understand your market and you know what people want to see and you understand your funnel really well. Then you can kind of use it in the right places to really build out something great for your users.
I like the octopus. I just saw that. It's cool. Yeah. Well, any more questions? We are down to 1 minute. I respect Bertrand's time. Feel free. If Sunil, you have any questions?
Actually, I was wondering how, from my use case, how we would be able to create.
Yeah, you're thinking. I'm pretty sure. So, Bertram, the other thing that is, see, most of the people on this call, in today's call, except Anuj and few, most of them are, CTOs and product heads. So they are actually processing all these examples in their mind, which is what Sunil is saying. So instead of asking questions, they're trying to see how I can use this in my context.
Right. So I was actually, so ours is a product that is delivered via SaaS. We have a few unique problems to uncover here. One problem that we are facing in terms of sales itself is it's difficult to convince people to try out a high ticket subscription for a product that does not exist in its form, generally speaking, right? So we were trying to build a couple of what you would call like the ungated product experiences, where people will be able to try out a couple of the aspects of the product without even signing up, right? And that's where I was just wondering, and Anuj's question mostly answered, what I was thinking at the time, like how would we create different kinds of experiences for people, who would come with very different expectations to a product. So somebody who is an HR or somebody who's a founder who comes on, they want to have very different kinds of experiences in our product. So I was just sort of thinking how we would be able to do that, and basically your answers helped me around that.
And how do you go for attracting the traffic from those different personas now? So do you do the same for everyone, and you just have different personas that you're aware of when you speak with them via sales, or do you actually have the personas mapped out and then the different channels to reach out to them and different campaigns for them?
So currently we really don't have much mapped out. Most of the customers that we're getting are referrals. Most of our things are not really working in the way that we want them to, like in a SaaS kind of a way, when we're sort of transforming our service into a software offering, right? However, what we are trying to get to is where we can transform our product in a way that people are able to experience it before they are able to buy it. Our current sales process is very traditional in a lot of ways. We get people to sales calls, we generate leads from various campaigns, put them through funnels and such. So this, and we gather those leads from a couple of campaigns and forms, like you showed, right? Some of the more modern things that we do, like the product demos and free trials and such, we don't really have them in the product right now, and we're sort of starting to build those things. Yeah.
And at what point do you segment them into those personas? Is it when someone touches base with them, as in a human speaks with them, or you somehow do it in your CRM? Like how does, or you don't do it yet?
Okay, so there are 3 points that we need to do this, right? The first is when we get the lead onto the website. So that's where the idea is that, based on the kind of campaign that they use to get to our platform, they will have different kinds of experience. That's one. Then at the same time, we are also the current product demo sort of, or the trial that we are looking to build. We are looking to gather information manually around how they want to interact, in what capacity they want to interact with the product, like as a founder or as an HR. Then the second part here is for people to get people on the product first, and then look at the data that they have submitted, right? So we put them into cold campaigns separately, and email campaigns separately, and basically before that we do a bit of research around them. So we don't really have a lot of being the high ticket subscription for very, very early stage startups, our product, right? So we basically research about them and then put them into the right kind of campaigns, and build right campaigns for their personas, and sort of segregate them after the lead collection level. So those are yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So the way you would personalize those ungated experiences to the persona is the same exact way that you do now, and you can even enrich it. So first, as you know what kind of persona they fit into, you simply show them the right type of demos across the website the moment you find out from the ways you do it right now. Another thing that you can do is you can actually use this to understand which persona they fit into. So imagine they land on the landing page and they play around with a demo for half a minute. Then a pop-up comes out asking them to submit some information about them. And you can use this information to enrich your CRM around this person. And then they play around a little bit longer, and you can even ask for their email towards the end of it. So it kind of goes together, and it goes hand in hand with using the information you already have, as well as using these demos to actually collect more information about them and personalizing their experience from that point even more. And you have to think, well, why would they submit this information if they're playing around with your product already for like half a minute, because it's a very simple way to do it through a clickable demo, then why not put in what industry they're in, so that they can get relevant data in the rest of the demo. And then they played around for a minute more. Well, why not speak with you? I mean, they're interested in that. They have spent a few minutes already. So it's really, you can use it also to enrich your CRM.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's a good point. So the way we were thinking was, when somebody starts a demo, we can ask for for some details around. So if I go by Sundar's example, we have two kinds of personas here that we want to target, right? We want hiring managers or founders, and there's the HRs, right? So they would be able to choose what kind of person, like in what way do they want to experience the product, and they will go into the right page and the right section of the product with the right kind of data accordingly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But what you mentioned also makes a lot of sense, that you give them an ungated experience, regardless of the role, and then try to customize it, give them a pop-out, get the information later. That also makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. So respecting Bertram's time, thank you so much. I will summarize the main points from this post on LinkedIn and also into the community. But if you feel free to post the examples, your contact details. Most of the people on the community are SaaS founders, CTOs, and product heads. So they will relate to what you are saying. I will summarize the points. Please feel free to post there. And I'm hoping to work with you as soon as possible once we get rid of some of the teething issues that we have. Once those are done, I'm looking forward to working with you closely to really implement the end state of what we are thinking.
Cool. Thank you for having me. And if anyone wants to chat, I'm gonna leave my details on the Slack. Feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to speak for half an hour one-to-one and kind of brainstorm more and show you more of what we're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you so much.
You have a great week.
Bye.
Bye everyone. Bye. Bye.
Thanks, guys.